All right, we're back with another episode of Conversations of Value. I'm your host, Jamila Moore, and we are here to glean from the incomparable Deborah Lee. Listen, if you've been enjoying this, make sure you are tapped into her newsletter on her website at iamdeborahlee.com, where you can stay abreast of teachings that she does impromptu, her group coaching programs, or schedule a one-on-one session with her because she is a licensed psychotherapist. I hope I even said that right. If I didn't, she'll correct me. But today, as we get ready to journey into what it means to have unconditional love, and I think before we can talk about unconditional love, we need to define for the audience what is conditional love.
Ooh, conditional love. I'll tell you, conditional love is just what it says, love with conditions. And I don't believe the adage that love with no strings attached, because I believe when you love, there's a connection. So there is an attachment, but you don't want conditions based on the attachment that you have with another person.
Mm-hmm. There we have it. So, can you give us some examples of what with love with conditions look like? Because I think it's very prevalent in culture, but we don't think of it that way.
Let me talk about number one, love is freely given.
Mm-hmm.
It's freely given. There really is nothing that we're supposed to be expecting back other than the best for the other person that we love.
Mm-hmm.
We want them to be well, to do well, and that's it. And so we're offering love to support their ability and their hope to do well in life. That's what love is, what it does. And love is God is love, truly. So anything that does not represent who he is, we need to take a good look at and say, wait a minute, I'm not feeling love. What love is supposed to feel like: safe, respected, honored, warm, comfortable, all of those things, and in particular, safe. And so when we're not feeling those things, then we need to take a hard look at, okay, what is this? And why am I finding myself either walking on eggshells or jumping through hoops to be in this space that someone's telling me is love, whether it's family, work, community, wherever it may be, another group that we're in. And so you're supposed to feel like being whoever you are in that moment, just being you, being loved for being you. And I said it a few years ago, unconditional love is a shortage going on.
Mm-hmm.
People really being able to love us no matter what, because love has nothing to do with the other stuff that may go on in a relationship. You're supposed to love regardless, in spite of, because of. You're supposed to love anyway, even when there's a disagreement. And so the hope is that, and knowing that love does not mean unconditional tolerance.
Okay, come on, break it down.
Love is, guess what? I always say this: go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. So it's not unconditional tolerance that you have to keep tolerating something. That's not what love does. Love has boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
We don't hear about that often because we can grow up in an environment that says you have to love and tolerate. No, love has boundaries. Love can have, you can express your non-negotiables in a loving relationship and in a loving way. So, the boundaries are there. The boundaries don't diminish the amount of love that you give somebody. Ah,
Listen.
good.
Mm.
Yeah, right. Love is powerful. It's powerful in spite of, like I said before, when it's unconditional. I love you no matter what. I love you if you've done something that was socially unacceptable. And I may have to have some boundaries with you, but I still love you. right?
Yeah, yeah. So, what do you say to the folks who have realized that their unconditional love has to look different? And so, because it has to look different, then now they're at a place where they want, they're feeling the tension of setting the boundaries. And so, ooh, yeah, yeah. Let's talk about that. Like that tension when you set the boundaries and doing it in love with the backlash from the other party. How can they navigate that?
Well, again, your voice is important. Your boundaries are important. Your non-negotiables are important. And as I often say, it's an offering of information to someone. You know what? I love you, and I don't want this to cause a physical distance in our relationship.
Mm,
So my hope is that you can hear what it is that I need to feel love from you. Because again, even if you talk about the five languages of love, which they have for adults, they have for children now, learning a person's love language is important because I'm a giver, but I'm very affectionate and I'm a hugger. And so if I'm in relationship with some people, I may almost never hug them because that's not their love language.
mm-hmm,
But they'll take a gift.
mm-hmm,
And so it becomes my responsibility in any relationship is to learn how another person receives love. I have a granddaughter she'll be 4 this weekend. And anytime I walk in the house, because she thinks it's going to create some divided loyalty between her and her mom to come to me. So we had to learn that that's what was going on. She won't speak to me when I come into the home. And
mm,
I live here with her, but she will not speak to me. But I did have a conversation with her today. I said, Mima needs you to speak to her when I come in the house. I need you to speak to me. And she said, okay, because now you want to come into my space. I'm human. And you want to engage in whatever for you because it fits better for you. And because this is a child, I have to be, thank God I'm an adult and I know better. I have to be welcoming, but it also gave me an opportunity, which I knew. I said, the next time I see her, we're going to have a conversation. Please speak to me because that's important to me. That's
mm-hmm,
very important to me. And so I don't have to take offense to it. I can ask for what I need. I need you to speak to me because Mima's happy to see you and I want you to speak to me. Now, there were other scenarios that I knew would be inappropriate because I don't want somebody else to take advantage of her by telling her. So I specifically said, Mima. I didn't want to make it a blanket statement so that she feels compelled to. I have to speak to strangers. I have to speak to anybody. No,
mm-hmm,
no. So we have to be specific. And that's an important part of love is how we talk to each person differently because each person is different. And the hope
mm-hmm.
is that it is unconditional. Uh, Big girl panties on, no expectations. When you love somebody, that's a condition. No repayment. You don't owe me anything because I love you. And so we've got to be clear about that. And you don't have to love everything about a person to love them. It's the love that stands the test of time. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's really good. And I think when we think about loving and living and lifing, um, we oftentimes skip past the part of like what healthy love looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what you
Mm-hmm.
did was paint a picture of healthy love,
Mm-hmm.
which is unconditional, but we do have to teach in love if we're ever going to love right.
Yeah. And it's it takes time to learn this and we're still learning it, as prime time as we're learning it, As seasoned saints, we're still learning it, because you come into contact with different people. And so you become emotionally attached. And so you don't want to change the scenario because it's a different person. What we each have to learn is what love is and how to offer it and how to receive it.
Mhm.
Because I don't need you different for me to be happy.
Mhm.
Yeah, my happiness belongs to me. Nobody's responsible for keeping me happy. That's my happiness. Now, coming into contact with a person that I'm offering love to, again, they're not there to make me happy. They're not there to keep me happy. That's not the job of another person. That is my responsibility to be happy, to stay happy, to steward my life in such a way that I am happy because number one, God loves me. He loves us.
Mhm.
And number two, we love ourselves. And in learning how we love ourselves will help us to know who else knows what love is and has the ability to offer that to us. But we got to show up with that already. And again, going back to my granddaughter, I wanted her to know that I love her no matter what. And my hope is that she can speak to me when I come into the house.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's really good. And so for a person out there that's really wondering and trying to figure out like how do I know if people are loving me with conditions? Like what are like 1 to 3 things you can tell them to look out for?
Well, I think the main thing is that when it takes you off your axis, is what I'm going to say about that. When it takes you out of your realm of comfort, then you need to explore, okay, is this taking me away from me in such a way that is a non negotiable, in such a way that I'm not going to like me anymore? See, you got to like and love you to a certain degree before you let somebody else come in and disrupt that. Now,
Hmm.
some people coming to disrupt it is a good thing, but you get to sit in that and say, wait a minute, does this make me feel loved at the end of the day? Now, this is a new encounter that I'm having, but does this make me feel loved at the end of the day? Am I able to walk through this and say, you know what? They brought me some good information. This is helpful for me. This is going to help me to love me more, to function better than I'm functioning. Okay, this is a win. Thank you. I appreciate what you offered me. Um, Anything that hurts so much that you can't work through it, again, sometimes you need professional support to get through it, but you ought to be able to have a conversation with the other person, company, business, whatever, and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. I need some clarity in terms of how come you offered that to me. And then I can gauge a little bit better how come I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. And we all know this, anything that is abuse, we heard this years ago, abnormal use of anything is abuse. So anything that we consider for ourselves as abnormal, um, then we're not in agreement with. Again, have a conversation and say, hey, you know what? I don't feel loved. I don't feel safe. I don't feel comfortable when this is going on. And have the conversation and see if it can be done differently, whatever the issue is. Can we manage this a different way? I want to feel safe because feeling safe lets me know that I feel loved.
Mm. Well, there you have it. Unconditional love. Y'all, that's something, another thing we probably just need to be on the lookout for with our antennas just do in this year and beyond so that we can make sure we're loving unconditionally, but then also we are doing what is necessary to gauge when there is someone trying to love us with conditions,
Mhm.
or even when we're on a place where we're loving people with conditions. So it's been another good one. We will see you all soon.
Yeah,
Take care.
love supports freedom. It just came to me. Love supports freedom. There's a freedom that you have when you're loved.
There you have it.
Thank you all for joining us today. And again, happy, happy, happy New Year. You are loved.